Hello there gorgeous gamers and welcome back to Pure Play TV, and we've got our review for Sniper Elite VR, a brand new shooter set in the Sniper Elite world, built exclusively for VR. It's good, and I've played on PSVR and Oculus Quest, and in this video we're going to be looking at the game from a reviewer's perspective, and then we'll do a little comparison between the PSVR and the Quest version to see how they stack up against one another. Lining up the perfect shot, holding my breath and pulling slowly on the trigger of my PSVR aim controller, I could almost imagine being in the tower overlooking my allies as I defended them against the Nazi scum. My air conditioning ruined it, as did the buzz of my phone between my legs. My colleague Jeremy didn't realise that he just buzzed me in my happy place and taken me right out of the moment. But he wasn't the only distraction. The PSVR's tracking had once again gone a little haywire, and I needed to abort my shot and give the controller the firewall wiggle. My single biggest complaint with Sniper Elite VR, on PSVR at least, is not with the game itself, but the platform it's running on and the tech that's holding it back. The game itself is brilliant and it stands as one of the best shooters for VR, so long as you're playing with the right equipment or on the right platform. The PSVR aim controller is the best way to experience Sniper Elite VR. I tried to play with the PS Move wands, and after half an hour I was ready to bite their glowing heads off. The idea is sound and two-handed play does make sense, but here on the PSVR the wands are showing their age. They're in their teenage years now and they are starting to rebel. Fancy aiming down the sights of your two-handed weapon? The PS Move controllers would rather you didn't. The PSVR aim controller, however, is good enough, even if it's still a little iffy. At least it's got sticks for movement, which puts it streets ahead of the wands. And on the Quest, obviously, the tracking is really good, with those dainty little touch controllers making two-handed play really good fun. So, controller woes out of the way, what about the rest of the package? It's fantastic, but flawed. It wants to be the proper VR version of the traditional games, but it doesn't quite hit the mark, and at times, I forgot I was even playing a Sniper Elite game. All the standard hallmarks of Sniper Elite are here. The gruesome X-ray cams give you unprecedented access to the innards of Nazis. The familiar focusing of a shot to bring that diamond right where you want it is still in, and placing a good shot amongst the noise of explosions or other gunfire will still conceal your handiwork. But you don't need to worry about any of that. If you want, you can treat Sniper Elite VR like a Call of Duty game and go running through the levels, blasting Nazis in the face with pistols, shotguns, machine guns, and more. At times, you're forced into such gameplay scenarios, but mostly the game encourages stealth. However, and this is something being tweaked in the Day 1 update, the stealth is a little basic and unfair. And on the PSVR, it's much harder to stay concealed when you can't get a steady aim using the silenced pistol. At least on the Quest, I was able to kind of stealth my way through some of the levels because of the precision afforded to me by the controllers. Now, once this review has gone live, the AI will have been tweaked, but it won't change how I play the game, at least not until I get to collecting the trophies, where I will need to sneak my way through some of the levels to get all of the stars. Now, the stars were something of an annoyance actually, as I was making fast progress, but toward the end of the game, when I could sniff those end credits, I ran into some progression blocking in the form of star counts. Each mission gives you the chance to earn 3 stars through a selection of in-mission challenges, like Don't Get Spotted, Get X amount of kills with Weapon X, and so on. It was only when the end was in sight that the game said I needed more stars, forcing me back to some earlier levels to collect a few pointless points, ruining the flow of the narrative and annoying me in the process. I appreciate the star system and the replayability it offers, but not at the expense of keeping me hooked on the story I'd invested a few hours into. Not that it's a particularly great tale, mind you. The story only serves to put you and your trusty rifle in situations, and nothing more. The writing works around the level structure, sometimes having to explain and exposit while you're playing the same level again, but from a different approach. come the end of the story and the game, and I was left a little bit disappointed with how it concluded. But the few hours before were mostly filled with gruesome fun, and I can overlook a damp finale much more than I can a weak start, middle and end. Gameplay is what we're all here for, and Sniper Elite VR delivers a proper Sniper Elite game in VR, though minus the big spectacles and the long-range high-value targets. I think in total there were perhaps 2 long-range human targets essential to a mission, which fell a little short, and I thought the game would put a bigger focus on these tests of sniping skill, but instead the game feels a bit like one of the first Call of Duty games, but ported to VR, with some Sniper Elite aspects thrown in. No complaints from me on that front. I enjoyed it. For a greater challenge, you can kick up the difficulty and try to play as a true marksman. I played through the entire campaign on easy mode at first, and this encouraged my Rambo behaviour. On normal, that just doesn't fly as well due to the enemies being a bit more accurate and deadly. On the hardest setting, you should forget about using your SMG and focus on your sniping, silence a pistol, and distractions. Annoyingly though, there doesn't seem to be any kind of melee attack available, which seems like a massive oversight. In any case, I still had a great time fighting my way through World War II from a perspective not frequently explored. So how does it compare on PSVR and Oculus Quest? I've played the entire game right the way through on PSVR, and on the Quest, I've gotten through a handful of the game's missions, and I find that on the Quest, I'm being a bit more sneaky in my playthrough, because it feels like I really can be. Graphically, each version has its pros and cons. The PSVR version has a greater level of detail with higher quality assets building the world around you. The Quest has to make do with lower quality goods to keep performance in check, and that's an interesting topic in itself. On PSVR, the scope is part and parcel of the on-screen presentation. You line up your scope to your face and you can see through it whilst also keeping an eye on your peripheral outside of the scope. On the Quest, the default setting is to black out everything outside of the scope once you start to bring it up to your face. This is to save on performance, and changing this option in the menu will warn you that it could negatively impact performance. So far, I've not had much go wrong, but I have noticed a couple of instances of slowdown, especially when I shoot an explosive and there are lots of enemies running around. It's brief, but it's there. In the Quest's favour is the resolution and the clarity it brings, so while the world may not be as well detailed as the PSVR version, it does at least look very clear, and it's easier to pick out long-range targets. On PSVR, I often found it difficult to spot enemies who were too far away, even more so in dark levels, where they basically became invisible blobs. PSVR has another advantage: multiple ways to play. You can either use a DualShock 4, PSVR aim controller, or the Move Wands. As I've already said, I cannot stand the Move Wands. The DualShock 4 is adequate and the PSVR aim controller is the best way to play. That stands true up against the Oculus Quest too. While I really am a big fan of the Quest's tracking and controllers, the PSVR aim controller just feels right in the hand for this kind of game, even if the tracking can be a little bit wobbly. I don't have a physical stock for the Quest, so having my arms float around in front of me while I try to steady a rifle feels really awkward. The aim controller feels a lot more natural. Overall, the PSVR version is my preferred way to play if I'm going Rambo, but the Quest version feels like a better fit for sneaking around, so take from that what you will. And that is the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed it, hit us up with a like, subscribe and drop a comment. Hit the bell and enable all notifications so that you don't miss future videos. The info box has our socials, websites and supporters links. I've been Chris, you've been gorgeous, and I'll see you on the next one. Until then, bye bye.